Good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up and joining us this morning. My name is Heather. I'm the Integrated Production Manager on Organic Valley's amazing marketing team.
And I'm Josh, the Associate Creative Director at Organic Valley. And today is National
Farmers Day.
And we're here live in Cashion at our headquarters in Wisconsin. And we're also going to be live with farms across the country all day long. And next up.
Yeah. Well, right now, we are going to take you live to Vermont to visit with Farmer Ty on his organic dairy farm. Farmer Ty, are you there? Hey, good morning.
Hey, Farmer Ty.
Here.
What's up, man?
Good morning, everybody.
Looks like a beautiful day. How you doing this morning?
I am doing great. It was smooth chores. We got a real light wind, nice, beautiful temperatures. It's like a paradise for cows today. It's in the mid high 50s. Great day to be in Vermont. We're bummed a little bit that we had a whole pile of wind and rain last week, so we lost all our leaves. We had the most beautiful foliage that I wish I could share with everybody.
Yeah.
But the leaves fell off. But we are we're happy. It's a good day.
Awesome. Great to have you with us today. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit? We know you've probably been up for many hours already this morning. Tell us a little bit about how you start your day on your farm there in Vermont.
Yeah, well, I wake up at 4:30 and I go up and I start kind of the milking system and get it prepared for the cows. And I come back to the house and I enjoy a cup of coffee and I take a few minutes of, I guess I would call it, a moment of gratitude. Thankful for the opportunity to do what I do for a living and live in the beautiful place that I do and all the things I'm sort of grateful for. And it kind of sets the precedent for the day. And then I head up to the barn a little before 6 o'clock, probably like 5:30, and get everything set up. And then we milk the cows. And this time of year, we're kind of tailing down on our grazing season. So the cows are actually back up at the hoop barns in the morning waiting to come in. And this morning, they would have, when we finish milking, they would have already come out to pasture. But to share that sort of glorious moment with everybody, they are still at the barn, eagerly awaiting the opportunity to come out, which should occur in the next few minutes.
Oh, I see you have a visitor in the
background. That's Maggie the Moonsterlander in the background. We have a few bird dogs that enjoy spending time running around and pointing robins and mourning doves. And I can't really get anywhere without Maggie coming along.
That's awesome. So it's like breakfast time here, but for you, it's like lunchtime because you've been up a long time already.
Yeah, well, farmers, all, the running joke is, what did you have for second breakfast? We all have first breakfast and second breakfast. So I had my black coffee before, and then I enjoyed 2 pastured organic eggs just recently for breakfast and a little whole yogurt with some coconut chips. So I'm fueled with some quality protein, and I will probably hang out, talk to you guys for a while, and then I'll sneak back in for a second breakfast before I do the midday chores.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we know you have a beautiful farm out there in Vermont. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I can, yeah. So we're really unique. We are a first generation organic farm.
That's cool.
I've been here for a little over 20 years, and I studied agriculture in college. So I do have a master's degree in agronomy and soil science. And I worked in conservation for a little while. But I realized that land stewardship and the sort of deep camaraderie shared between dairy farmers was something that was really attractive and I wanted to kind of participate in. And so rather than wait till I retired at 65 to become a farmer, I quit my job and started when I was 25. And so we started on a 32-acre piece of land with an old rundown dairy barn. And we have now sort of grown that to just under 300 acres. We built a lot of new, more cow-friendly barn facilities and a different milking facility, and we've grown that herd and that land base. So it's 300 acres. We're grazing about 165 acres. We milk 65 cows. We graze about 165 acres, and we hay about 120. And then the rest is like a little bit of woods that the bird dogs enjoy roaming around looking for birds in.
Cool.
Awesome.
So I have one question about, you said you're a first generation farmer. Do you have any advice or anything like that for someone who's looking to get into farming?
Well, it takes, I think the attributes sort of necessary to be a successful farmer is a lot of optimistic delusion, coupled with tenacity and perseverance. Faith in the real positive way. Like, you have to have a vision and find a beautiful place in which you feel lucky and blessed to wake up every day and try to figure out a way to make that place, better for you, better for your cows, and better for the rest of humanity that benefits from your stewardship of that place. And then through the good times and the hard times, that's where this tenacity and perseverance comes in. And those are all things that just kind of propel you towards this, I say optimistic delusion because it's such a capital intensive and difficult journey to become a farmer. But it can be done. And so you have to have that optimism kind of constantly guiding you towards that goal. But the important thing to remember is, like, there's never an end. There's the goal. The goal is to spend every day stewarding a landscape and having that sort of opportunity to work with cows. Like, I sort of view myself as a land steward, and I view this farm as this kind of canvas. We're almost like artists, and we get to work in partnership with our cows. Essentially, our job together is to harvest solar energy through our organic pastures and convert that energy into a form of like super nutrient dense bioavailable food for people. And so that if that's kind of your end goal is like, I want to wake up in a beautiful place and nourish people, then it's pretty easy to like endure the challenging times. And so it's like, it's anything else in life, but I think it's finding purpose, finding a good vision, and letting that vision sort of guide you through it. But I guess on a more tangible level, it's like, obviously you have to find a piece of land first. It's really difficult to get started. So there's a lot of programs in different states, new farmer programs. I see cows coming. If anybody wants me to,
the ladies coming out.
Stars of the show.
I'm going to shift the camera for a minute. Yeah. So in the background, you see those big white hoops that look like a giant covered wagon. And this is Farmer Melanie, who I neglected to turn the fence off and set up the paddock on this end. So she's getting her morning jog.
She's on a mission.
She very quickly sets up the diversion to try to feed what is a group of very eager cows.
Look at those beauties.
Rush hour traffic at Stony Pond Farm. And
now, Ty, what
unlike
kind of cows
rush hour
are these?
traffic everywhere else, this is one way in which the girls are extremely excited to get out to lush green grass.
Beautiful.
And they're about to eat our Starlink setup because the paddock is not ready.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. So do your cows have names, Ty?
They do. So you'll notice, hold on a moment while I'm trying to defend the Starlink while Melanie gets this set up.
They just want to be part of the show. It's fine.
We've just entered lush green grass. This is our paddock for the day. But to answer your earlier question, yes, every cow on the farm has a name. This last cow in the brown is Joy there. And I see Tea Tree in the background, who's kind of an old staple. And Gemini. And one of my favorites is Dove, who's grazing over there. And all of the daughters on our farm follow the first letter of their mother. So we have these kind of maternal family lineages we can follow through. And so like years ago, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, Phoebe was my absolute favorite cow. And she's no longer with us. Cows, the biological lifespan of a cow is like 13 to 15 years. And she made it to 14 years on the farm. And although she's no longer with us, we have Peggy and Pippa and Polly and Panda. And so all sorts of her daughters who stayed with us.
Nice. Cool. Ty, we do have a classroom. I want to shout out to Swanton, Vermont, high school, middle school class out there. So thanks for joining us.
We love Swanton, our neighbors to the north.
Awesome. So Ty, what's the best cow name you've ever heard?
The best cow name I've ever heard. Let's see. We have Milkshake. We have some friends that were our big Grateful Dead fans, and we have a Ramble On Rose cow.
Nice.
Yeah. We had for a while we had the Whopper line, and so we did have a cow named Whopper, and then she gave us a Whopper Junior, and we had a Whopper Royale and a Whopper Supreme, and those were most of the cows in the background are all Jersey cows. These tan cows are Jerseys, and then there's some ones with a reddish tint, and those are Jerseys, Devon crosses. And for a little while, we had this little pocket of Ashers, who were kind of these orange blotchy cows, and they were that was the Whopper line.
Nice. Cool. Well, if you need help with names, I know Mrs. Drigg's third grade class in Rice Lake, Wisconsin is on. I'm sure we can come up with some good names for you guys.
Yeah. If anybody has any sweet names, drop them in the chat for sure.
If anybody has any good names out there, let us know, because every spring we're unique in that we are what they call a spring seasonal herd. So all of our cows are milked. They start having their calves in the middle of March. And usually the last calves are born by the 1st of May. And all cows need a little bit of a vacation between a period of milking and before they have their next calf. And so our cows actually stop being milked the 1st of January, and they get a 60 to 75 day vacation in which the farmers get to go skiing a lot, and the cows just kind of lounge around and get to eat and enjoy
paid leave,
a little time. Yeah. But come spring, we'll have 75 calves born in a 45-day window, and we have to come up with a lot of names really quick. So if we can have a surplus group name with all the contributions from folks out there, that would be really helpful.
Cool.
And if anybody out there ever wants to come visit an organic farm, if I shift here, this is our meadow cottage behind me. This is one of 3 Airbnbs on the farm, where folks out there are welcome to come and experience this in person.
Yeah, a little piece of heaven, it looks like.
Let me do a little camera flip for you, and we'll...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, notice how she uses her tongue to wrap around a big chunk of grass. She pulls it in her mouth, chews away at it. And this is what they're going to do. This is their main job for the rest of the day.
Kind of looks like how Josh eats his lunch sometimes.
I would eat that grass. I would definitely eat it. It looks good. So, Ty, can you tell us a little bit about more about the pasturing approach and keeping the cows out where they can eat grass most of the day, and how that affects everything from the quality of the milk to possibly even the happiness of the cows?
Yeah, without a doubt. So you asked how long they would stay here. So the cows were very eager to get here. And you could see how quickly Melanie was rushing around to try to get that paddock open in time, because they know the drill. They come to the barn. It's kind of like a toll booth. They deposit off, they drop their milk off, and they know they're going to get fresh grass right after. That's the incentive for coming in and dropping off the milk. They absolutely love to be outside on fresh grass. This is what cows were built to do. This is what they were made to do, is harvest that solar energy in these organic pastures. So they'll come out twice a day. So to answer your question, the cows will be here for 12 hours. And this little paddock is set up to feed all the cows for a 12-hour window. Then they'll leave this paddock, go back, get milk tonight, and go to a fresh one in the evening. And they won't come back to this pasture for 45 days. So everybody out there who's ever had to mow their lawn can imagine what that lawn's going to look like 45 days later if they don't do it. Well, what it will look like is a cow paradise. It's 8 to 10 inches tall of lush green grasses, clovers, forbs, a whole different array of things. And the cows have their favorites. It's kind of like a buffet. White clover, of course, is like the cheesecake or something. That's their dessert. Like they love to go in and just hit the white clover first. Then they'll go for the Kentucky bluegrass and the perennial ryegrass, all that kind of stuff. But right now, what's beautiful about the organic system is these cows are out here. They're getting their own feed. They're spreading their own manure. They're going to take a nap for the whole middle of the day. And when they're taking that nap, their eyes close. They get into this state of bliss where they ruminate, and their mouth is kind of turning as they're chewing their cud. And that's when they make all their milk, when they're taking their nap. And then in this evening, they're creatures of habit. So this evening they'll know when it's time to come back for milking. They'll all get up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, head back to the barn, get milked, and then come back out and do it again tomorrow.
Awesome. The students at North Crawford schools, I think, would love to see a close-up of the pasture. Can we see kind of what that buffet looks like?
This is Bjorna and Swift, and they are really enjoying. You can see they have found the patch of white clover. And then we have Dove over here. She's a sweetheart. But it's all business right now. Head in there and find that clover. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah.
But then there's something like this is a baby burdock. Burdock, a lot of people think is a weed, but it's really high in calcium, and it's actually a very nutritious forage. So they'll kind of search that out over the course of the day. How far
should send them to my yard to take care of the burdocks. We've got too many.
Yeah. So you can see every paddock here on the farm has a water tub, and the water tub is plumbed in to fresh water that's piped to every pasture, so it's on a float. And over the course of the day, these girls will stop in and get fresh water. The pond is down below there, and if we run out of water, we're able to pull from that pond. But really, the cows like to just lay next to it and watch us go swimming in the summer and wonder what we're up to.
Nice. Ty, here's a big question. Important question for you here. If folks come stay at your farm, can they pet a cow?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, folks can come and they can milk a cow. Perfect. We're not afraid to put you to work. But no, yes, they can pet the cows. And maybe later this afternoon, we'll be lucky enough to meet Jack and Jenny, who are the farm's mini donkeys, whose sole purpose is just to get pet and go for walks. Down over by that yellow tree in the middle of the screen is an apple tree. And one of the cows' favorite things to do in October is go find the apple tree and eat all the drops. They love, love, love apples.
Nice.
I bet. So we're talking a lot about food and what they're eating, and so this is all organic pasture, right? So it's and lots of different kinds of grasses, lots of variety. And how does that impact the quality of the milk?
Well, that's what's unique. That's what's pretty cool. So here on this farm, while we're selling all of our high quality milk to Organic Valley, and that's hopefully making it out to all you folks, or some of it makes it to our partners at Stonyfield and is turned into organic yogurt. And then we have our own on-farm creamery and make a little bit of cheese of our own that's distributed up and around the New England and sort of Northeast area. But what that allows us to do is Melanie, who is the cheesemaker, when I'm making pasture decisions, and we'll turn the cows into a paddock with predominant red clover, for example, versus another pasture that might be full of more yellow flowers. So we might have lots of dandelions or something in that pasture. She'll be able to taste a difference in the cheese that comes from that. So the lush green pastures and the clover adds a really sweet flavor to the milk. When you'll take especially a glass of whole milk, you'll really notice this nice, almost sugary flavor in the background, and that's coming from that pasture. And it's the cheese making aspect of things that has really shown us that high quality pasture. And the different sort of components within that make for different flavors. and you can notice it sometimes just drinking a glass of milk. And yes, like we spend a lot of time sort of nourishing our soils, feeding our soils. And then wintertime, the cows are on in these big sort of hoop barns, and they're on like a Tempur-Pedic bed for cows. We put down a big layer of fresh every day, and then I run a rototiller through that, and I compost it. So it's cooking. It's like in the wintertime when it's cold in Vermont, the cow's bed is 15 inches deep of 140 degree hot compost, and it creates this little cow-sized divot right where they lay down, and it's really comfy. And then that material is microbial food. We use that material to spread out onto our pastures to feed the microbes that have a relationship with the plants. I don't want to get too sciencey here, but I know there's a lot of smart science students out there, so I'll be really brief. But the foundation of what we do is the sun shines. Our pastures act like a million little UV panels, little UV receptors, and they harvest that solar energy. And that plant, through photosynthesis, creates a sugar, and it uses that sugar to grow more plant. Except for some of that sugar, it trades to the microbes in the soil in exchange for nutrients that the plant can't get itself. So there might be a little boron ion or something in the soil, and the plant's root can't reach that boron, and so the microbe will go get it for the plant. And it's this really sort of miraculous partnership. And the compost and the manure that's coming from our cows is actually feeding those microbes. And so it's an amazing sort of marvelous system, and the kind of the foundation of what it is that we're doing here.
Awesome. It sure sounds like a science and an art for sure.
Yeah. So I see that there's a wind turbine behind your beautiful cow there. So obviously you have some renewable energy on the farm. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as land stewards and organic farmers, sustainability is one of the sort of pivot key aspects that we're after. And this farm has embraced renewable energy. We have some solar hot water, and in the background here, you see we have this 10 kilowatt wind turbine, which is not doing a whole lot right now, except for providing a rest for what looked like 5 birds. But on a windy day, that sucker gets cranking, and it makes the meter, it's net metered, so it makes the meter spin backwards, and we're sending a little bit of power back into the grid.
Awesome.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Ty, we also know that you're a big fan of nature and wildlife. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how, farming organically, taking the pasture approach, how that can benefit the wildlife and the plant life and everything around the farm in addition to the farm animals.
Our pastures are home to tree swallows and bluebirds in the spring. Being an organic farm, we are not interested in using pesticides or herbicides or other various chemicals to combat pest issues like flies. So we set up a habitat to employ our friends, the birds, to do that work for us. We have probably 250 bluebird houses that bring in a pair. So, and we'll have either the bluebirds or the tree swallows. Wow. About 500 of them will arrive every spring and for fly eating duty. But in addition to that, throughout the farm, all of our stream corridors have big setbacks so the cows aren't wandering into the stream. And we've planted over 10,000 trees over the years along those corridors, and those act as wildlife corridors so that, an acre of organic pasture may support 65 cows for a day, but it also is supporting 10,000 bees that live on this farm. It supports the 500 tree swallows that arrive. It supports countless numbers of deer and fox and raccoons and possums and all sorts of other critters that enjoy this farm as their home. And it's something a lot of people don't realize, that organic farms are home. The sheer volume of biomass from the little critters that live under the soil to all the bigger critters that roam along the top is just, thousands and thousands of pounds of animals and biomass that enjoys organic pastures. So it's a really great way to farm.
That's amazing. Yeah. It sounds like, it's a place I would want to live. Yeah. For sure. Can you tell us a little bit about when you transitioned to organic and just some of just that experience and what you noticed on your land?
Well, so again, being a first generation farm, we fortunately never transitioned to organic. We just started organic. I will never forget, when I was ready to take the plunge into dairy farming, we bought 25 cows. We started out pretty small. Actually, I did. I was by myself. So I bought 25 cows, and they were all supposed to calve in March, and I had never milked a cow in my life. And I came home from skiing one day, and the first one had her calf, and I actually had to go get a neighbor to show me how to do it. And 20 years later, here we are. We're still at it. One of the challenges is that we have had to sort of learn and do everything on our own, but we didn't inherit 5 generations of the way of doing something. We never were reliant or dependent upon like crutches needed to manage in a certain way. So like very, very early on, we learned that the secret to success with organic farming is to do our best as stewards to identify any and every stress that could impact our system, whether that's on the soil side of things up to the cow side of things, and try to mitigate those stresses the best that we can. So cow comfort, animal welfare, high quality food, low stress handling, adequate sunshine, clean water. Those are the things that allowed us to successfully be organic without relying on outside support.
Awesome. Cool. Ty, we've got some questions here in our Fisher-Price silo.
Secret silo of questions. Okay. Is there an interesting story about how your farm became your farm? We kind of talked about that already. Let's pick a
new question. Yeah. All right.
Well, I was going to take a quick moment to answer that question, even though we already sort of had. But
okay, yeah, for sure.
I was a young guy looking for my farm and for my space and for my purpose and place in life, and I was a fly fisherman in college, and I would drive around looking for little like creeks and places to fly fish. And I was just like dreaming of the landscape of, looking for my spot. I was like, wow, where's my farm? Where's this place that I can get started? And I was working as an inspector, actually, an organic inspector for Vermont organic farmers. This was probably 25 years ago. And, I had to shadow another inspector before I could become certified to do it on my own. And I drove up to the farm in which I am today to meet that inspector and spend the day with her. And when I arrived, immediately I was like, this is the spot. Oh, I can't believe it. This is what I want to find, just something just like this. And over the course of the day, she told me that she was retiring and moving away from farming and going to move to the adjacent ski town sometime within that next year. And it didn't really register at the moment, but when I got one of my first jobs in conservation in St. Albans, Vermont, which is located about 15 minutes from here, I randomly one day after work stopped by, asked if that was still the trajectory she was on, and if she minded that I rent a room and start farming here. And within a year, she had found her spot, and I was able to then seamlessly transition my way into this farm. So it was very serendipitous.
Wow. We're so glad you made that choice.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we've got some folks in the office here. It's buzzing. Yeah. Everyone's excited to see you. Say hi. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
More organic farmers.
Yeah, more of our cooperatives. So Organic Valley Cooperative, we have over 1,600 small family farms part of our cooperative. A few visiting in the office. Day off from the farm, I guess.
Farmers come by, cows come by.
Yeah, never know what you're going to see.
Normal day at OV. So, all right, we have one more question or another question for you, Ty. What was the first product that Organic Valley sold into grocery stores?
It's like a trivia question that I'm supposed to know, huh?
Yeah.
I actually want to say that it's like broccoli or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's not what
Way
most people would
back,
think.
that Cooley region of Producer Pool started as a vegetable operation, right? But then second to that, was it butter?
Close. Cheese. Cheese
okay,
was the first. So, but those are all great guesses. So.
Yeah. Well, to this day, I mean the cheddar, that Wisconsin cheddar, and for a brief stint there was a nice Vermont one, is a staple. So especially you can't get a higher quality snack than that.
Awesome. Can we get another peek at those ladies behind you? What are they? Looks like they're still enjoying.
Yep.
Enjoying their pasture.
Here.
Oh, there's Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie is wondering what the Starlink in the driveway is all about. Then right over here we have Constance. And then over there behind her is Ray. Tea Tree in the background seems to be enjoying the spotlight. And Loon is right here in front of us, munching away.
So you said these were Jersey cows. I'm curious, there's a lot of different cow breeds. Why Jerseys on your farm?
Well, Jerseys are known for really high quality butterfat. So right now, our milk, and we are testing our milk every single pickup to monitor how great it is. And right now, the butterfat of our milk is 5.27, which is really creamy. It's really rich and delicious. They're also extremely good grazers. They love to spend time outside. They love to graze. They are really great mothers.
Tad, we have a question here from Miss Bonnie McSquirley. Do the cows like to eat any tree leaves?
Yeah. So we've often pondered and wondered whether it seems that they have an innate knowledge of what it is that they might need from a nutrition standpoint. So we are providing the cows with a complex with salt and with trace minerals and micronutrients, and we do our best to use compost to fertilize our ground so that all of their nutritional needs are coming from the pasture. That said, most of the paddocks have little shrubs and trees and leaves and other things in there. And sometimes specific cows will go and just immediately find that tree and make sure that they get whatever it is that maybe I'm missing on providing. So they love trees, they love shrubs. And as I mentioned before, they really love apples.
Ty, I know you have other animals on your farm. Can you tell us a little bit besides, and we talked about, the wild habitat and everything, but what other pets do you have, we'll say?
As we mentioned before, the challenges of becoming first generation farmers, our farm actually acts as an incubator space for future farmers. And right now we have a young couple who are stewarding a farm within our farm called Hunger Moon Farm. And they have 1,200 egg-laying chickens whose sole purpose on the farm, beyond just laying high-quality, nutritious, organic eggs, is to follow our cows around those pastures. They stir up their manure pats, they eat all the fly larvae, and they fertilize and kind of scratch the pastures to give little spaces for future clover plants to come in. So they're like the roving pasture improvement crew. We also have a lot of browse on the farm. And so although the cows enjoy eating leaves off, say, a raspberry bush, they don't particularly enjoy the thorny stalk side of that raspberry bush. However, the herd of Boer Kiko cross goats on the farm that follow the cows around love to eat the prickly things. They eat goats. Thistles, they eat burdocks, they eat raspberry brambles, they eat hawthorn twigs. So the goats serve a purpose as well. We have Jack and Jenny, who are two of the snuggliest, cuddliest mini donkeys ever. And their sole purpose in life is to be cosmic love antennas. They just harness love from the universe and offer it to anyone who is willing to scratch their butt. They like to go for walks and graze a little bit throughout the day. And we have 3 farm dogs. We have Maggie and Murphy, who are 2 small Munsterlanders. And those are the little white and brown ones that kind of follow us around. And then we have Bridget, who is a Bracco Italiano. She's an Italian pointer. They're all bird dogs. And I got to say that if reincarnation is a thing, if anyone could come back as a farm dog on this farm, it is a pretty glorious life.
I bet. It sounds like it.
Amen.
We have a couple questions. So the question earlier was, how many times a day do you milk your cows? We know you started early this morning.
Yep, we will milk again this evening at 5 o'clock. So we milk our cows twice a day, every day, 7 days a week.
Awesome. No days off for those cows.
And no days off for the cows or the farmers.
Or the farmers, that's right. Also a question, are there any predators that cows need to worry about?
There's not really any predators that the cows need to worry about. We do have black bears and coyotes on the farm. And sometimes in the spring, most of the time the cows are calving in our hoop barns, and we have a big, open, deep bedded pack nursing area, kind of a nursing calving pen. But sometimes one will birth one out on pasture, and we have actually witnessed the cows, they have a very sort of maternal herd bond. And we actually very rarely would it happen, but we had a coyote come in, and it was beautiful to watch the herd circle and surround the baby calf and kind of keep it behind a wall of hooves and safe. So predators are a non-issue for the cows.
Great. So there's some jokes going into the chat here. Right, so I just want to share with you, Josh, what kind of thing does a farmer talk about when they're milking cows?
I don't know.
Utter nonsense, of course.
Get it out.
That sounds about right.
Ty, I had a question about going back to the pasture and kind of the benefits that has. We talked about a lot of them already, but there's also a benefit of reducing carbon in the atmosphere, right? With when you have a lot of pasture land.
An organic dairy farm provides a lot of services to humanity in general beyond just the super high quality, bioavailable, nutritious food that comes off the farm. So we may specialize in superior quality fluid milk and all the associated dairy products that come from these lovely cows. But we're also providing an array of what I would say are ecosystem services. And that would be from water infiltration, our high quality soils, when it rains a lot, that water is able to percolate down through those soils. That is associated with our water holding capacity. Our ground, when we have big significant rain events, we can mitigate and reduce flooding in the general vicinity because our ground holds on to a lot of that water. We're providing in all of our sort of buffer areas and laneways and corridors along the side of the farms. We're providing a lot of pollinator habitat and wildlife habitat. And then maybe most importantly or significantly is we are sequestering atmospheric carbon. So when a plant is growing, it's harvesting energy from the sun, it's making those sugars, and then it's pulling carbon from the atmosphere to build new roots. So when a cow comes in and she munches the top of this grass plant, that plant then sort of kills off its own root system to supply the energy to grow new photovoltaic receptors that harvest solar energy, new leaves, that is. And then it uses that solar energy to grow more roots. And in doing that, it's pulling carbon from the atmosphere and storing that in that soil. And we see that as an increase in the soil organic matter of our pastures. And when we arrived at this farm, all the levels were at sort of the lower end of that spectrum. And then the shift to organic management, now our pastures are at the higher end of that spectrum. And one unique sort of scientific fact is that for every 1% increase in soil organic matter, that soil has the capacity, the increased capacity to hold on to 22,000 gallons of water per acre. So every time it rains a big chunk, if the soils that have higher organic matter are holding on to that much more water. And that's what's happening on this organic farm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you remind some of the students are wondering again how many acres your farm is?
We are just shy of 300, so like 297 total.
Great.
Which, if anyone can imagine, is about almost 600 football fields.
Wow, that's really helpful perspective. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, an acre is about 2 football fields.
Yeah, that's great.
This is really funny. What's your best joke?
Oh boy.
Extra points if it's about farming. I have one while you're thinking. So
yeah, you fire away. Okay. I don't have a good one.
Why do cows have hooves instead of feet?
Hooves instead of feet.
This is a brain scratcher.
Okay, well, you better just tell me because I haven't had second breakfast yet.
Okay, because they lactose.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy, we're getting personal now. What's your favorite way to eat mac and cheese?
With triple cheese. Well, so I have celiac disease, and so I don't eat gluten at all, and I don't eat a lot of noodles from that perspective. So for me, it would just be, I guess it would be, if I was to eat mac and cheese, it would be gluten-free pasta with gluten-free breadcrumbs on the top. I love that crusty section. I want extra sharp cheddar as my cheese. And I want it baked in the oven so it gets that real crispy top. And I want it on a rainy, cold, cloudy day.
Perfect.
Making me hungry now.
Well, hey to the fourth graders in Ottoville, Ohio. Good morning. Ty, I know you've raised your children on your farm. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of that experience and what that's been like for them, raising them while farming?
Yeah, it's amazing. So like being a first generation farmer, I grew up in total suburbia. Willow is actually the truest Fairfieldian in Vermont because she was born in our house. And Wyatt was born in Burlington, but both are, while mom and dad are still considered flatlanders, despite being here in Vermont for 25 years, the kids are true Vermonters, and the farm is almost all that they know. And what it has done is created a couple young individuals who have a strong sense of independence, a strong sense of creativity. Oh yeah, one of them has just joined us. Say hi to Willow.
Hi.
Hey Willow.
Hey Willow.
Good morning.
Nice hustle out there this morning.
Thanks.
Yeah, so Wyatt and Willow are the Stony Pond Farm kids, and they have all those things that I'm saying. These are kids who know what it is that they want. They know how to assess what resources are available to them to develop a plan and execute that plan. They have a deep respect for wildlife and our land base, and an appreciation for cows and for where their food comes from. They know that to invest in themselves and become the healthiest, happiest people that they can be. I would say I think they really enjoy their childhood here, having the freedom to roam around this beautiful place. They know responsibility. They have lots of farm chores. And they're both fortunate that they're actually they're homeschooled, so a lot of their education is happening here every day. So in one sense, they don't have to go to school every day, and they're lucky. But their school is 7 days a week, 365 days a year, every day. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a great place to grow up.
I bet. Yeah. I know they're clearly learning firsthand where their food comes from. And we hope, too, that that's what you're taking away a little bit today as we celebrate National Farmers Day. We're visiting with farms all day long, members of our cooperative. And we've got Washington State, Edelweiss Dairy, fellow farmers. Thank you for what you do. They're tuning in this morning as well.
Thank you.
Do you, Ty, we have some questions in the chat I want to get to. I know our time with you is almost up. Do you turn out all of your animals together when they go out to pasture?
When we first arrived here, we used to milk in an old tie stall barn, but we don't ever tie the cows up. So they would just come into the barn and we would milk all sort of 46 cows, but we could only milk them 4 at a time. So they would kind of stand around waiting for their turn, and then they would all go out at the same time. In the milking parlor, we're milking 6 cows on a side, so 12 cows at a time. And as soon as they're done milking, they're able to go out a door and head straight out to pasture. And so normally the cows would want to move as a herd. However, there are certain cows, and it's funny, we milk 65 right now, and the same 6 cows are the first 6 cows in, and the same 6 cows are the last 6 cows in. And they could alter that order if they wanted to. There's just some that are like really motivated and others that aren't so. And the ones that are really motivated tend to go out to that night paddock right away. So they tend to go out in groups of 6 and meet the rest of the herd out there. And so they probably make the most milk because they run out there and eat all the clover before everybody else gets a chance to get there. The goats and the chickens, since they do not have to come back to a barn to get milked, they're out all of the time, and it's timed so that they're providing a service to the cows. So the cows are grazing a paddock, and then the chickens will follow those cows the very next day. They'll go in and kind of clean up that pasture, and then if it has enough browse, the goats will then come in after that. And do a further cleanup, and then everybody is off that paddock for 45 days, or if the goats follow a few days later, maybe it's 41 days, so that it's in ideal condition for when the cows come back.
Ty, this has been just a beautiful morning. Yeah, thank you for sharing your little piece of heaven with us. So happy National Farmers Day. Ty, thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, Ty.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you all join us.